And we're back, and this time I want to talk about background shapes in logo design. I've designed a couple of examples with the most basic ideas in logo design that you can imagine. So I've kept the font neutral. I've just used my logo as a placeholder, and you can see here we've got the rectangle, which is the most often used background shape. It is used in different sizes, obviously. As you can see here, you can design squares or rectangles. Both is widely common in logo design. Here we've got another one, but with rounded corners. And you can use the tool for the basic shapes in Adobe Illustrator for all of these. The circle, another shape that's widely used. Stars. Then we go to polygons, or shapes that have more than 4 corners and aren't stars. They are not that often used, but you can see them from time to time, so it makes sense to try it out in the specific logo designs that you've got. And obviously the triangle as the final one. And we can create various design ideas using these basic shapes. The first idea is to just place the text that you've got in a different position. So at the bottom in this example, it's often used, centered, we've had that before. It's still the classic, and it's still the one that you find the most often, but you can create good variations if you differ from the center position, as this position is so common, the viewer has gotten familiar with it, and if you break that familiarity, it creates a memorable logo design with very simple shapes and fonts. Like in this case, Facebook has used that idea in its logo design, for example. You can make the text bigger than the background, especially with the circle that's used very often. You can use multiple text elements or multiple level of text on the background. You can rotate it, like here in a vertical way to write it. That is not that often used in combination with the polygon tool, but I wanted to add it because sometimes exploring that idea leads to unique design ideas, so don't leave it out. But as I've said, don't expect too much from it, as it doesn't work that often. When you've got a triangle, it's sometimes used in this manner, so where the text resembles the shape of the background, and you can use the vertical type on a path tool or the type on a path tool to create that effect. It's often used with triangles and circles when you encounter it, very rarely with rectangles. The next variation that you can create is you can rotate the background. For example, like here, 90-degree angle for the rectangle, a random angle in this case. You can rotate the text together with the background. You can see that when you only rotate the background, it creates, I think, a more edgy logo design that breaks with the usual patterns people are used to. So I like to explore these ideas. You can rotate the text and then make it exceed the background, like in this example. You can give your text different colors. Something that rarely works is to rotate only a part of your text. But once again, it doesn't cost you anything to explore this idea. Maybe it creates a winning design. And you can play around with different sizes in your text element. The next idea that you want to explore is to add a stroke. For example, on a rectangle that's widely used once again. You can make the fill color invisible or transparent in this case and only have a stroke. You have to keep in mind that the colors, they should match. For example, here the green and the blue, that doesn't really match, so you need to be very picky with the color choices for a combination. What rarely works is to use more than 3 colors. In this case, if you add white as a 4th color, it doesn't work, and even if it was green like the background, doesn't look good, or red, it doesn't work. I try to stick to one color or two colors maximum, and maybe white and black on top. You can see that it can work. For example, this is a typical design for a flash sale, something like a seasonal sale. It's often used. When you use a playful font like I did here, the Old English text MT for my logo, keep the background simple. So if I would add a stroke here on top, it would already be too much. Got 3 colors, then the playful font and a hexagon, so 6 corners. It's way too much to produce a good looking minimalistic logo design, and most often you want minimalistic designs, especially for companies that are a little bit bigger. You can combine all of the ideas that I've presented here. So we've got a stroke here, no fill, and we've placed the text so that it exceeds the background, and on top we've got the background rotated, and it still creates a nice logo design. Or when you would add a playful font on top, it would be already too much. So always have that minimalistic view. You can use the background to create these negative shape logo design ideas. Just size the background down to the size of your text, then create outlines. Maybe you want to use the shape builder tool and get rid of the center elements, and then you've got a transparent negative shape logo design. You can make that partially transparent, like I did here. So the my exceeds the background, and I've given it the same color as the background. It's an often used design effect. You can add the rotation to it, like I did here. Sometimes that works. I wouldn't necessarily use this rounded rectangle for it, but once again, explore these ideas. Sometimes you find a winner. This one's often used, but I've given it a certain spin. So instead of putting the logo together in the circle, I've used the circles of the O letters as kind of like a border for the outer background. When you find something, it's a smart thing to do. People like that, and when it fits the company name, it's almost always a good idea to explore further. You can use your background shapes and turn them into letters. So here in this case, the star, it replaces the Y letter. You could argue this is not a background shape anymore, and totally fine, but it's still a design effect that you might want to try. You can also use these basic shapes, size them down so much that they become a little detail for the logo design, and then make the text the bigger element. Once again, it's arguable if it's still a background element, because it's not in the background and it's way too small. But here I've just used it to create a background for one letter only, in this case the triangle for the Y. Another idea that works. So you can see with only basic elements we could create a couple of logo design ideas, and it's not about the examples here in specific. It's more about using these techniques and applying them to your own logo designs, and you can see you can easily create hundreds of ideas and variations, and this is what you should be doing to create good looking logos. I hope this video was helpful. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you next time.